When we went in there, the first thing we did is we tried something new. We went around on some of the tables, sprinkled baby powder, set of glass, upside down like little wine glasses, some silverware. And what we were going to try to catch with that is, if something was to move that glass, it would obviously leave some kind of a mark, a smudge, or something like that. And that came into play later on in the night. And when Adrian was telling you a little earlier about the wine glass flying off the bar and shattering.
Okay. Now, you get set up and you take in your EVP. What does that stand for?
Electronic voice phenomena.
All right. And I've heard of this, and I've heard some of them before. They have given us a copy, Shelley Ellis Farrell, of the EVPs. No, that's fine. You're fine. We're going to talk a little bit about it, and we're going to play it after the bottom. We'll play it after the next break because I want to talk more with these guys about this. So you and the Knoxville News Sentinel guys, you're in Patrick Sullivan's. It's in the wee hours. Talk about what happens, what you're doing.
Basically, we split up into several different teams, and we all roamed around the building asking questions with audio recorders and video and night vision. And basically, nothing really happened for a while until Scott and myself
and Morgan, I believe.
And Morgan.
This is Morgan Simmons from the Knoxville News Sentinel.
Yes, that's the reporter.
Okay, right, yeah.
And we all climbed up into the attic of Patrick Sullivan's. I don't know if we were supposed to be up there or not.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
And we had another team member at the time, Sean. So actually, we all go up, and we sit up there for probably a good 45 minutes, I would say, asking questions, trying to capture some sort of EVP. And
while we were up there, by the way, some things started happening as far as we would be in one part of the attic, and we would hear something be thrown at the other end of the attic. And it seems like it always happened when we were like, well, we've asked enough questions, let's go back down. Start heading back down, boom.
And the good thing is, Morgan Simmons, the News Sentinel journalist, he was sitting within 3 or 4 feet of us.
He could tell that we weren't trying to.
You're right. And do you think now? Well, let's just go ahead and ask this question. Obviously, you believe in these spirits, and you deal with this. If someone calls you, if someone or goes to knoxparanormal.com, they could email you and say, "Hey, I got something at my house or at my business." You'll go investigate.
Definitely, and what we try to do is we try to debunk claims of the paranormal. We want to try to make people feel
safe in their house,
safe in their home or their business. And so we actually our theory is we'll go in, we'll try to disprove or debunk the claims of the activity. And once we see that we cannot, that's when we really start investigating.
Okay. Now, do you believe there are spirits in Patrick Sullivan's?
I would definitely have to say that Patrick Sullivan's has a lot of active activity there, paranormal.
Yeah, definitely. If we just caught maybe one EVP, something like that, or maybe nothing else but the glass falling off the bar, but we caught the EVPs, the glass flying off the bar, the sounds in the attic that I was saying, things getting thrown around. It actually sounded like somebody running and jumping and falling.
All right. Now, you investigate several times a month spirits. Mm-hmm. Most of them pretty good-natured, or do they do mean things? Talk about the demeanor of, the demons. No, they're not demons.
They're all pretty much playful, I guess you would say. We've been to several locations that have been a lot more strange, I guess you could say, than others.
Hawkeyes, Club Legacy. Hawkeyes used to be, it's in the Fort Sanders area.
Yes.
Yeah, we did the investigation there 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it was a crazy place.
And it wasn't in the attic there, it was in the basement. But the first thing that happened to us there was we had a brass coupling thrown at us. And we would kind of ask it to do the same thing again, and it would happen. It almost happened on command. We set a pipe on a shelf. Can you throw that pipe?
We actually had a brick several times come up from the ground.
A brick come up from the ground,
straight through whatever.
I know it sounds out there, but it really happened, and we tried to catch that on film, and we actually caught the brick flying, not hitting the Glad.
All right. Now, Frank Gardner, you were telling me that the particular spirits in Patrick Sullivan's like the girls.
Well, it seems like from what I've heard from employees, and to be honest with you, nothing's ever spoken to me, moved me, or anything else, but we've had a couple of specific ladies working there that have really had a problem with it. We had one particular girl. In fact, she's a law student now in the University of Arkansas. She has worked at Patrick Sullivan's on 2 or 3 different occasions, but one particular night she was closing the upper floor, which is where most of the activity seems to be, was doing her closing duties and felt just a serious tug where her actual shirt was pulled, like on her shoulder, and like somebody coming up and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you," or something like that. Of course, she turns around like, "Okay, who's messing with me?" And turns around. Of course, there's nobody there, nobody upstairs with her. And of course, she just said just her knees just got very weak.
Oh yeah, you get that whole
and she said
thing.
She said she literally had to sit down and take a chair and say, now what's going on here? And she said it was really difficult for her to feel comfortable finishing her job that night. On a different occasion, she told me that when she was standing behind the bar on the upper floor and she was doing her checkout, that she had this sensation that somebody was trying to nudge her out of her position, basically, just kind of like somebody trying to shoulder you out of the way, if you're standing in a line or something like that. And, of course, I always just said, okay, you've had too many shift beers or whatever the case may be. But and she'd say, well, I'm not supposed to be drinking on the job, and I don't drink on the job. And I believe her, and honestly, though, she was really spooked.
Well, the women who were with my friend, they were very uncomfortable after it. Now, they stayed and finished their meal and enjoyed it, but the women, after this incident happened where the glass flew off the table, they were very uncomfortable.
Well, that's the thing is that we've heard, and this is basically through rumor at first, but it's been kind of confirmed to me by people that were in the neighborhood long before but apparently during after the war, after World War II, and then into the 50s and 60s, of course, that neighborhood down there was extremely rough, to use a mild term. The building itself, where Patrick Sullivan's is, had been used for different things, but the top floor was sort of a real scrungy boarding house-like atmosphere.
Okay.
And the word was that there was a prostitute who died in an alleyway that's behind Patrick Sullivan's. And I've had 2 or 3 people confirm this to me. I don't know exactly the date.
Right.
And so, we thought, well, maybe she's trying to stake her claim on the property there or something. Who knows? But that's kind of the story that we've always sort of believed to be sort of, well, if there's something going on, maybe it's her. And they called her Bald Mary, by the way.
Bald Mary?
Bald Mary.
Okay, maybe it is. All right, here is, oops, it doesn't have a name. Good afternoon, you're on the Phil Show. Clarita. Hi, Clarita.
Hey, this is Clarita. I just wanted to add something to that building. The building was owned by an Italian family who was my great-uncle in the early 1900s, Mike Armetta. He immigrated from Sicily along with my grandfather, who owned the building down the street, which was Frank's place, which was a grocery store. But the Sullivan building was an ice cream parlor. Where the bar is now, it was an ice cream parlor. And my great-uncle had 8 children that were raised in that building. And if you remember Annie's little restaurant that used to be behind there in that brick courtyard, that was where they sold coal to the Southern Railway people as they came off their shifts. And if you look on the side of the building on Jackson, you'll see where the paint cannot be painted over, I think because it's historical now, that says the Liberty Ice Cream Company, and that was part of that historical part of that building.
Wow.
And our family never said, these are my second cousins, and they're mostly deceased now, but we never heard stories about ghosts. But now I'm 50 years old, and my parents had businesses on Central Avenue, and I do remember how dilapidated the building got, and I do remember the story about the prostitute that passed away there.
Bald Mary. Wow.
But yes, there was an Italian family that was raised there from World War II, or from the Depression.
Yeah.
After the World War II.
All right, Clear. Thanks for the call.
Oh.
Wow. Maybe it's some of her people. Italians are pretty playful folks. You know, they're good. All right, when we come back, now, you said when you were there a glass flew, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to hear about that. Plus, when we come back, I'm going to give this to Shelley Ellis Farrell and let her play this recording of the EVPs. You can, and they actually answer you.
You have to listen to it and see.
All right. Well, I'll listen to it together when we come back with traffic. Here's Left Turn.